Hey guys, and welcome to game number 22 out of 100 of the Mac versus Machine series, where I'll be playing 100 games of Scrabble against the top online Scrabble bot, HastyBot. The series is tight right now. It's 11 to 10 in my favor. It's been pretty close for a while, so hopefully we can get some momentum going here in game 22. Let's go ahead and begin. We're first this time, and we've got a pretty good rack here. Just unfortunately a little bit too Val heavy for a bingo. So probably we're going to want to make a short play here and sort of fish and try to keep a good leave and bingo as soon as we can. Right now I'm looking at Amu, which scores 10, which of course isn't a lot of points, but EIST is a really strong leave, and it also sets up our Amu's hook nicely for next turn. It's worth giving some consideration to a small exchange here. Like even an exchange 1 with the U, it does hit a lot, I guess, actually. Because if you draw an E, you have Steamy, and I, you have Amides, O, you have Atomize, Atomies, Amosite. When I'm evaluating a change 1, I usually look at the vowels first, because they're the most likely tiles. And A doesn't hit a 7. Of course, there'll be some 8s too, depending on what he plays. That might actually be worth it, because let's see, D hits... Oh, C hits too, somatic. E hits, G hits, K hits even. L doesn't hit, but it'll hit tons of 8s. M hits, N hits, O hits, P hits, R hits, T hits. Yeah, you know what, guys? That's actually worth it, because that's got to draw, based on those calculations, probably 60% of the time, a 7, and he's pretty likely to not exchange, especially given it's a bot, and give us an 8. So I think that's probably worth it. I mean, the 10 points is not that significant, and EIST is considerably less likely to bingo. It just introduces more variance of drawing maybe more eyes or something like that on a 3-tile pool. So I think I'm going to change 1. Okay, and it worked. I drew an E, which gives me Steamy, which I'm going to go ahead and play with Jukes. Okay, so let's see. We're not actually up much, which is the one drawback to playing like that early on with a exchange 1 or a small fish, is that he'll often just score and kind of accumulate enough points to counteract your bingo. It's still the right way to play, since I don't really have much of another option other than to fish with a rack like that, since I can't score anyway. Okay, so Steamy, of course, does take an R. Important to keep that in mind. So I very well might end up playing something like Gerd next turn. I just need to confirm I don't have any bingos here. Don't think so. Disgrade is no good. Disagree doesn't work. Degrades. Yeah, I don't think I have any bingos. Hope not. I don't think I'm going to have a 9 through this OT or OI. Don't see anything great through this I. So yeah, probably Gerd is fine. I mean, it scores 28, keeps a good leave. I definitely want to take out this hook. He just played off 6 tiles, so he's got a decent chance at drawing an R or an S. So this looks pretty sound to me. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Okay, he plays Poof. Bit of a consonant-heavy draw for us. So we do have Finka through this I, which is likely what I'm going to play. Scores well, gives us another, or I shouldn't even say another S hook. Well, actually, he just opened one with Spoof. So yeah, it is another S hook. On the board before, it was pretty bad for S's. But now it's actually a very good board for S's because of Spoof and now soon to be Finkas, assuming I play this. Not really feeling like I'm going to have a better option. I mean, DPS is pretty solid, 28 points. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, he plays autoed. Not exactly a dream draw for us. We pick up WU at the same time, so we'll probably be playing Wood somewhere. I guess Cuspid, does that go anywhere good? Probably not. Yeah, I feel like Wood has to be the play. It's mostly just a question of, do I play it here? So that would be 19, or here for 20. Probably slightly prefer putting the W in the triple lane. It's a little bit less risky. Also keeps both of my S-hooks open, which is nice, so that if he uses one, I'll still have the other for hopefully a bingo next turn or soon. So I think I'm leaning towards this placement. I just want to make sure I'm not missing like a big play that maybe does use the S, like does Wisp play anywhere? Cuspid? I don't think so. I can't really use this spot with Fincas very effectively on this turn. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Okay, so he plays Figs and Fincas, blocking that spot. And this is sort of why I wanted to keep both of the S spots open, because he uses one, and I'm going to be able to use the other right now to bingo with Princes. Pincers is also available, but this is better because it doubles the C. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so he plays Hob, and we're definitely in the driver's seat now. We're up 55. Little bit of a constant heavy rack, but all of a sudden there's actually very few places to bingo, right? If we look at this board, there's nothing really that takes an S, or any hooks for that matter. Princes actually takes an S. That's a fun one that's easily overlooked. Princes to make Princess. Of course you think, well, hey, Princes is already a plural. You can't put another S on it, but in this case you can. Of course, it's inconsequential. There's not really much that can be done there, but just still worth keeping in mind. I actually have the last S, which is good to keep in mind. So that makes plays like Will interesting, but it does take a T as well, and there's 2 blanks unseen, so I guess maybe how about Live? So that takes an S2, but I don't really want to give back the 7 line, and yeah, I don't think so. With 2 blanks unseen, and STLL doesn't have that much upside, I don't think it's quite worth it. I'm up 55, so if I can really lock down the board, I should be in decent shape. Probably my most just solid play overall would be Vil, or maybe View. I just don't love keeping 4 consonants, especially in a position where I'm trying to, you know, play defense and kind of stay ahead of him if he makes any openings. It's nice to have a balanced lead for flexibility. So Vil is decent. Of course, he can bingo with 7s above or below this L. But that's not that easy to do, and they won't score much. I don't have a way to, like, completely lock everything down here on this turn. It's probably between Vil and Wive is just a very different play. It's the aggressive play here, and I mean, there is something to be said for it, because I do have the last S. He's pretty unlikely to want to spend a blank to use that spot unless he's bingoing, which isn't all that likely. It's just, I don't know, with LLST, if I had a stronger leave, I think I'd probably do it. I just don't think that leave has enough upside to justify this. And also the E is a much easier tile to parallel in bingo versus the L, where you'd have to start with a vowel. So I don't know. If the score were different, I would certainly play something like this. I just don't think it really makes sense here. When I put myself in a position to draw possibly no vowels, just not be in a great spot next turn. I guess I mean, the good thing with Wive, though, is assuming he doesn't use that spot, even if I draw 1 vowel, I'll be able to at least use it for something next turn. So there is a lot of upside to Wive. But I think, I don't know, it just introduces a lot of variance, and I feel like if I play Vil, I'm going up 70 on this board. Even if he bingos here, I'll have an S, I'll have a good rack. He's not going to be scoring much. I think this is just a more sound play at this score. If it were an even game, I'd probably play Wive, but in this situation, I think Vil is just a bit more cautious and more reasonable. So let's do that. Okay, he has played Oxen. I have Twister, Witters, and Retwist. So Retwist and Witters both play here. I don't think there's any reason not to play Witters since it scores more. Yeah, I mean, I guess Retwist, ST versus RS is pretty negligible. And Retwist also takes an S, which there are 2 blanks unseen, so that could still be used. I think Witters is probably just better here. I really don't see any reason to sacrifice the 3 points. Alright, he plays AE there, so he had some vowel trouble. And we're definitely not out of the woods yet here, guys. We're up 86, which is nice, but there's 2 blanks and a Z and a Q, so we still have to definitely exercise caution here to hold on to this game. I've definitely gotten complacent in positions like this, and then within a turn or two I'm like, uh-oh, this is, I'm actually in a little bit of trouble here, so definitely need to be careful. The good thing is there really aren't a lot of places he can bingo. What I should probably be thinking about, especially with 2 blanks, there's some freak overlaps here, which isn't that unlikely. And it's going to score a lot if he does somehow hit that. If I can... How do I really deal with it, though? That's the problem. Do I have anything through this ES? I'd also love to get rid of course, some of my U's and I's. Resuit would be a great play, but it's not a word. Resit? I don't want to keep 2 U's. I don't have anything great here. I don't want to play something ending in, like, rat. Maybe unit? How about unit? There's no X unseen. I guess he could hook stat. Yeah, I guess I do give back big, maybe like SH bingos with one of the blanks if he draws that, which isn't ideal. I mean, how likely really is a freak like overlap? It's pretty unlikely. I mean, there's not that much that goes before ER. It'd have to be like a blank or an H. I guess it's pretty unlikely. Would be much more likely for him to go here with a 7. I also, with unit, I maybe have to worry about setups here later on that could be tough for me to block. So that's not ideal. Maybe, how about like... I mean, I know it's a terrible lead, but how about something like rerun? Because now... I mean, he could, I guess, bingo with an 8 to this R, still through this P. But it definitely averts most of the disaster scenarios. Or maybe TD. Maybe that's the best way to do it. Yeah, this might be the best. I should be able to... I have to watch my time, too. I should be able to deal with anything he opens here on the right. I just want to make sure I have to worry, too, about him scoring a lot and then maybe just bingoing from this piece. So I definitely... I don't know. I might be being too paranoid about these overlaps, guys. I do still have to sweat. There's a Q and a Z. If he scores 40 and then bingos, that could be enough. So maybe I should just do something different and try to score more. But how do I score with this rack? I guess I can't really score. Huh. Not a lot of great options here. Resit. I don't want to keep 2 U's if I can help it. You know, maybe I do just play unit, because then I'm like basically reducing him to 1 bingo line. If he doesn't hit that immediately, then I should be able to play through the ES next turn and deal with it. And if he bingos here, I should be able to play here. I think unit is fine. Yeah, I think this is okay. Okay, so he does bingo with both blanks, but that should be fine, because now I'm up 25 still, and I'm going to be able to score here. This was sort of what I was thinking. I just need to watch my... I do need to be a little careful of the Q. Let's see. No, that doesn't work. Burl? No. RO isn't good. Do I not have Rubly? Maybe not. Okay. Maybe I just play... Maybe I just play HE. I mean, honestly, I'm going to be up 57. If I draw the Q, I'm fine, because I have, like, QI in multiple spots. I also have the U. Not that the U will actually help me all that much. I need to move, too. I'm down to 40 seconds, but I don't see how I'm going to lose. Okay. That's actually interesting. I could have maybe been in a little trouble if he drew the A. Huh. Because then Aqua would have been tough to deal with. But I still could have just played, like, Bin. I think I would have been fine, given my lead. Okay, let me not flag here, guys. Where are you going out? Should we just play Erp? I have 10 seconds. Do I have anything higher scoring? No, let's just go. Okay. Okay, so 439 to 390, win for us. I think the ending there when I played Unit was sort of the one place I'm not entirely confident I handled that correctly. But let's go ahead and we'll come to that position for sure. But let's look at the earlier stages of the game as well. Exchanging U, this was a good play I think on my part. I almost went ahead and just did Amu, but this it's worth when you have this strong a rack to look at the change ones and just kind of get a handle on how likely they are to hit with the vowels and the common tiles. And this hits with basically every vowel and NRT except A, which is really strong. So this is almost certainly the right play. Juke for him, Steamy only bingo. And, okay, got it. I don't like this. I mean, I didn't look at it. I pretty much, I saw I didn't have a bingo, so I didn't really think about spending the S. I don't know. Does it really make sense for 9 points this early in the game? I mean, I know the S doesn't have any immediate spots after Gerd, but it's still just going to help me, you know, set myself up for a bingo line or give myself a better potential to score more, I think, over the next few turns. I generally like retaining S's early on if I can, even if there's no immediate spot to use them. So, yeah, 9 points I don't personally think is enough to justify spending the S here. I guess I probably should have at least considered it a little more. But, yeah, I would have definitely played Gerd if I had to do this again. In general, I would advise, like, when in doubt, probably keep your S is generally a good rule of thumb. For those kind of positions. He plays Poof. Yeah, Finka looks good here. Not really much else to actually consider. I mean, it's my only good way to score and get rid of consonants without spending my S. And see, this is what happens, or what can happen early in the game. Like, the S goes from not valuable to extremely valuable within a turn or two. So it's important not to get, especially in the early stages of the game, where there's a lot more board development to still happen, not to get too hung up on, oh, the S is not that good a tile, or oh, the S is a great tile. Later in the game, it's more important to make those judgments carefully, but early in the game, you can see how quickly things change with hooks. So that looks good. Auto seems quite reasonable for him here. Yeah, I think Wood is pretty much forced, just a matter of placement, and W is a little bit less scary than the D in the triple line, so this looks fine. Vigs, yeah, I don't like Hex. For him, Vigs is, yeah, HEX is a really strong leave, and if I open anything up, I'll probably give him a good spot to score. So that looks fine. Princes, of course, is correct here. Hob, let's see, Hob versus Inbox. Yeah, Inbox is kind of scary with this double line. On the other hand, he is down, so I don't love keeping the X just because there aren't a ton of great X spots here. And he's going to want a bingo to get back in this game. I think Inbox might be warranted. I mean, I could have easily drawn something clunky that doesn't really work too well here. And I feel like the board is already pretty shy. He needs to be proactive. And if he plays Hob, then that's happened in the game. I'm going to sort of shut down here. And his prospects are going to start waning pretty quickly. As much as I don't love this opening, it's very dangerous. I personally would go with Inbox here, just given the situation. He plays Hob. Yeah, Swivel, no, I'm definitely not doing that. I am not putting an S in the middle of spending the last S to put it in the middle of a triple lane at this score at this point in the game. Absolutely not. This is a terrible play. Vil, I think, is reasonable. I definitely didn't like Wheel because there's still 2 T's and 2 blanks unseen. Of course, I have a lot of upside. I also thought about Wive, but again, it does set up Swive, but... 2 things. I decided there were 2 things that that made me decide not to play Wive here. And number 1 was my leave LLST is not that likely to hit a big play with Swive next turn. I'm pretty unlikely to get a bingo there. And if I play something like Tills, that's just not very exciting. I mean, what am I scoring? Like 20, 28 or something like that? I mean, it's really not that great. And I'll also be opening more for him next turn. So I just didn't feel like I had that much of an upside after Wive. And then number 2 is there are still 2 blanks unseen for him to use to make swive, which could really hurt. And this E is much, much easier for him to bingo with than this L, because many, many tiles will go either above or below an E. But by playing Vil, I'm forcing him to start a 7 with a vowel, which is considerably harder than being able to start it with most vowels or really any consonant. So I think given the score, Vil is quite reasonable. He plays Oxen, which I think I like here. I mean, just you got to open up some lines, and I know EEI isn't great, but you're going to have to hope to get lucky at this point, and it does score decently, so I think that's good. Yeah, Withers and Retwist, as I said in the game, I just don't really see any reason to play Retwist here. There's nothing that's better about it than Withers positionally, and if anything, it's worse just because it gives back the Retwist's hook. So I think this is perfectly good. He plays AE, which of course is the best play here, given that rack. And yeah, this was sort of the one turn where I may have bungled it a little bit. 2E, of course, is senseless. That's not the right play. PIU may be more reasonable than anything than what I did, just because again, the same idea, right? I give him a bingo line, but if he does bingo there, I'm very likely to be able to use the spot. On the other hand, with my leave of INRTU, I'm keeping all 1-pointers. How well really am I going to be able to use that spot? So that's one drawback to PIU. Of course, it does block some overlaps and bingos through the P. Let's see what other options. Uni, of course not. Definitely not going to do. Yeah, a lot of these options are just crazy. Incur for 10. I mean, I guess it's sort of a question of would I rather leave open this stuff here, or would I rather play unit and then pretty much force any of his bingos to come with a blank S and stat? And I ultimately decided, like, yeah, I'd probably give up a few more bingos immediately, but as we saw in the game, if he bingos here, then I'm going to be likely able to use this spot on the right for a lot, and then I'll still be up like 50, and I should be pretty good to go in the end. Whereas if I play something like Incur, then I'm worried about, maybe if he can bingo here somehow, and there's not a lot of possibilities, but bingos here could definitely score like 80 or even 90 if he can somehow get a 5-tile overlap, and that could really hurt. Or maybe even he plays something like Biz, and then I really have to sweat, because then I'll only be up 50, and if I can't block this very effectively next turn and he bingos, then I'll be in trouble. So all of it is pretty unlikely, and I should be in very good position to win this game. But I may be better off just sort of leaving that spot alone. I may have overestimated the potential for overlaps, and I realize it's pretty unlikely for him to get a 5-tile overlap here, just because of how hard it is to put a tile before this ER. I'm trying to even see what would go there. I mean, he could have something like, you need 2 blanks for it. Something like Flashed would score a lot. So there's probably a few other things, like maybe something with RA. Yeah, it's pretty tough, but it's certainly possible. There's also overlaps here, like ending in an E with I that could score a decent amount. So I don't know. I mean, unit, it's sort of a weird looking play to give back this bingo line. So maybe just given how many more bingos he can have there, and some of them like Shelled are still going to score a lot. So, yeah, this may have not been that sensible. Of course, after unit, I know if he doesn't bingo next turn, then I'm just going to play through this ES or something, and the game's basically over, right? So I'm basically giving him one shot. Whereas if I play something like Incur, then, as we saw in this turn, it's not that easy for me to deal with the P, deal with these overlaps at the same time without giving something else back. So if he just drops buys for 45, then I might be in a more dicey position. So I don't know, this is kind of a tricky call here. I think unit is probably fine. I guess as we saw too, I can run into Qua, which is a really annoying play though, which I didn't think about just because it sets up Aqua, and I don't have an A. And that's actually not that unlikely a possibility with a Q and 4 A's unseen. So I think given that, I don't really love unit in retrospect. That's a really, really annoying possibility for me to deal with. So yeah, probably just leaving the spot alone would have been better, to be honest, given it's pretty unlikely to be used. So yeah, maybe Incur. I mean, definitely not Puri, obviously, with a Q unseen. My other options are just so bad. I don't know. But yeah, I think just given Qua and the fact that I do give him some SH bingos. Yeah, probably unit was... I probably tried to get too cute there. I probably tried to, plan ahead so much. Oh, if he bingos here, then I'm going to score here. But there's some situations where he plays Qua, or he maybe plays Shelled and scores enough where I could get into some trouble. So I think a little bit of a misevaluation there. Probably just playing Incur, or maybe even like exchanging or something. I don't know. Just ignoring this is probably better. But in any case, he bingos with Seaphone. Let's see. Yeah, I could have played Umble. I didn't want to empty the bag though. There's 4 in the bag. I definitely would rather leave a few there just to not give him full knowledge. I guess I could also make the argument though. I'm giving myself more of a chance to draw an A to deal with Qua if that comes down. And maybe I don't really mind emptying the bag too much, given I'll be going up 55. So I guess Umble is probably fine here as well. I also, though, I don't want to draw the Q if I can help it, and of course he minimizes my chances of getting the Q. And there's nothing that I particularly want, right? The Z isn't even so good for me, so I'd probably rather he has to deal with the Q and the Z and minimize my chances of drawing them, so I think just he is reasonable. And yeah, this is where I realized I missed the possibility of Qua setting up Aqua, and it actually could have gotten pretty uncomfortable if he had the second A, because then he might be, he's going to be cutting the deficit to 25, and he'll be threatening Lays next turn. I probably would have had to play something like Rin, and it's hard to say whether I'll hold on, right? If after, say, Qua, and then Rin, and then Z over here, it gets a little dicey. And I probably could still hold on. It would be about an even game, and I'd be on turn. But it depends what, if he'd have an out next turn, and what I'd be able to do in terms of going out in 2. So it's hard to say. I'm not going to bother to look through a specific possibility. At this point, obviously, it is what it is. But maybe just something I should have considered. Not so much with he, but I think more with unit. This is a possibility with a Q and so many A's unseen. I should have foreseen. Since I was thinking about setups next to this I just didn't think of really 3 tile plays through this U. And this definitely could have gotten dicey either on this turn or earlier before he bingoed with Seafoam. If he had played Qua first before Seafoam, then he's threatening 90-point bingos. Here I actually could have really been in a pickle. So yeah, I think unit was a mistake in retrospect. I probably should have just played something like Incur or even Exchange, or just something lame elsewhere on the board. I think I got a little too hung up on, he opened a possible high-scoring bingo line. Even if it's remote, I got to deal with it. But yeah, so okay, I think that unit was officially, I'm going to call a mistake. But at this point, yeah, Braille is of course fine, then Z, and I guess I missed Cur for a couple more, but at this point, more important just to get my 2 tiles on the board and not lose on time, which I did manage to do, 439 to 390 final score. So interesting game, a couple cool plays there. I think I played well other than unit. I think unit was a little bit, like I said, a little too cute. I sort of just was focused on trying to deal with this remote possibility in a clever way, but I only set myself up for more direct possibilities that he could have that would be tough to deal with. So a little sloppy there on the unit turn. Otherwise, I think I played perfectly fine here. Good game, good win, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this one. As always, welcome any feedback or comments in the comment section. And I look forward to seeing you all for game number 23. Thanks again for watching, guys. Have a good one.